caught my record and probably passed me. But I still freelance as a graphic designer. I still do work for Matchbox. I do about 60 to 80 decos a year for Matchbox. Plus, I do work with customizers like Chris Stangler, with Lee Allen, CJ, who puts on the Vegas event. And I enjoy playing music.
Nice. Okay. So we'll go over to Pete now. Where did you start collecting?
Where did I start collecting? I started collecting, I'd say seriously, in '93. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. I was born and raised in Atlanta. So at that point, I was off doing I went to an antique store with my wife because, well, she dragged me there. And I found a couple Hot Wheels I had as a kid. And that's when the spark reunited. And I started collecting since then. And I got really serious by in '94, '95, which is when all the chaos with all the different wheel variations and colors, and basically when Mattel flooded the market with everything. So that's about when I started collecting cars. So seriously. Obviously, I had them as a kid, and otherwise I wouldn't care about it if I didn't.
Awesome. Going back to Peter here, or Michael here, what was the first model that you worked on while you were at Hot Wheels?
Oh, here it is, right here.
That's it.
Yeah, the Ford Escort Rally. This was a fun project to work on. And because this was going to be my very first design, of course, I wanted to put some references to me and my name, but I thought I would be a little bit smart and add my boss's name to it. And that was, I'm drawing a blank. It's on here. Oh, Gary Swisher. So when I did the design and I got it approved through legal, and it was going to go for production, and I got the first FEP sample, Gary didn't know about that. And so I walked into his office and I said, "Hey, check out this. This is my very first design." And he goes, "Oh, I really like that car. You did it really good. Oh my God, you put my name on there." He goes, "No one ever put my name on a Hot Wheels before." And he was like, the director of Hot Wheels. And so I figured, yeah, I got it. No problem now having my name on the car.
So did you do the car design too, or just do the graphics?
I do the graphics.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I've done a lot of graphics, my very first car. And if you look, there's lots of little cues as to who did the graphics.
Easter eggs.
Yeah, there is. I mean, it's like people ask me the number 8 because now I use the number 58 a lot of decos. But 8 was where it started, and people ask me why the 8. At that time, it was my lucky number. It used to just show up in my life. And I figured, well, I must be on the right path. This is telling me something. So, and then shortly after that, my next lucky number was 42. That started showing up when I was probably 40. When that happened, so I figured maybe something's going to happen when I turn 42. So I started putting 42 on stuff. But then when I decided to get more creative, I created the Adler 58 as a designator for my designs. And for these who don't know, it's my last name spelled backwards using the alphanumeric code.
Oh, nice.
So it's Heralda, the 5 and the 8. 8 is the H letter of the alphabet, and 5 is the E. So backwards, it's Heralda.
Nice. That was I was looking for some of the Easter eggs, and I knew about the 8 and what that meant, but some of the things you just spoke about now was that's kind of new. I didn't know that, so that's awesome.
Yeah, and you'll see variations. Sometimes you'll see a 58 number, or sometimes you'll see a 58. I had to vary it because the people in the legal department said, you're doing a lot of self-promotion. Maybe you do a little bit more sporadic.
Nice.
But when I work with customizers, they give me free reign. I can pretty much do anything I want. And on one of the cars, this was for the Malaysia Hobby Shop group. I did it wasn't the Adler 58 Racing, it was another car. I don't remember right now. But I put so many references to me on there. I was in Malaysia for their convention. And they all had the car because it was an event model. And I said, first person can tell me how many reference to me will get a prize. All these guys got their cars and they're just like looking at them and counting them. And I think I had 13 references to me on one design. So it has the record.
That's sweet.
Blatant self-promotion never ends.
No, it doesn't. Peter, how did you get involved in the newsletter?
So from what perspective, as a newsletter subscriber or taking it over?
How about both?
Okay. So it had to be 94, 95. I had joined a Hot Wheel club in Atlanta, and the guy showed me the Toll Marks book, and then he showed me a couple of newsletters. And he says, "Well, how do I get that?" He says, "Well, here they gave me one of the newsletters and said you need to call Mike Strauss, and make sure you call between. You open it up and it says call between, I think it was like 8 to 10 West Coast time, which in case that's 3 hours ahead. So all right, 8, that's 11 o'clock at night for me. So I called him up. I was 20-something years old, and he answers the phone. What do you want? Seriously, he yelled at that phone. I was like, "Sir, I'd like to sign up for the newsletter if I'm allowed, please." He said, "Okay, fine. What's your name?" And so, that's how I got introduced to the newsletter. Obviously, been a newsletter subscriber ever since. So that's how I kind of got started. I went to my first convention in Atlanta. I think it was 97 was the first convention I went to. That was related to that. I was excited, but then the hotel let me down. I think it let everybody down. It was should have been bulldozed before the convention. It was a bad one. But fast forward, I've been going to several conventions and stuff throughout the years. And then I went to probably 2018, 2019. Jimmy was doing it, and he was obviously by himself. And I said, "Well, you need some help?" And he said, "Sure." So I started helping him out at different conventions. He was really swamped. I would go there and I'll help him, pass out the cars and stuff. So that's how I kind of got started doing that part of it at conventions, helping hand out the giveaway or the thank you cards we call it today. About a year after that, he called me up and says, "I see you've been taking some pictures and post them on your website. Do you mind if we use those pictures on my website, and do you mind adding to it?" I said, "Sure, not a problem." So he gave me access to the newsletter website at the time, and I would, obviously help him out with adding new stuff or old stuff that he was missing. And then got serious about helping him out at the conventions and the website probably in 2021. It was more of a partnership at that point. Up until the fall of 22, he called me up and said, "I've had a stroke and I'm not going to be able to make it to LA. Do you mind doing the whole thing yourself?" I said, "Of course, I'll do whatever you need me to do." Stepped in. He spent the next 9 months in the hospital. It seemed like every time he got one thing solved, another thing would fail. It started off with the stroke, then he had his kidneys failed, then he got an infection in his foot and had to have his foot amputated. Just all sorts of just kind of the one thing after another. But he finally made it out. He made it out. He went to the Columbus convention. He had a great time. I don't know if anybody was there who saw him. He was full of energy and life, and he was really happy to be there. And then, so I got together with him at the end of the convention, and I said, "Look, I don't want to be morbid, Jim, but you have spent the past 9 months in the hospital. What are your plans for the Hot Wheels newsletter? If something bad happens." And that's when he said, "I want you to take it over." So I said, "Okay, great. Let's get through this convention. I'll let you wrap things up, and then next month or two we'll figure out what I need to learn, what I need to take over from his standpoint." And unfortunately, he never got to the point where he told me how to do anything, and he passed away. We get a call. He passed away on April 30th, the night April 30th, and his wife called me at 6 a.m. May 1st and said, "Jimmy passed away, and he wants you to take over, and here's the information." That was like, my condolences, and I think I'm going to give myself my own condolences, because now I have no idea what I'm doing.
You're doing a good job.
You're
doing good.
Well, I got some great people behind me. Don't think I'll take credit for a few things, but a lot of it is the team behind me that I help.
gonna say, every time I go through the line to go pick up my newsletter card, it's ready, it's packaged, it's okay, here's my name, here you go, thank you, and move on. And I think that's what all anybody really wants, is that continuity from Jimmy to you. And you're doing a great job, and your team is doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, the first time I helped him out, he handed me a stack of 25 sheets of paper. They had printed out their Excel spreadsheets, which had, about 20 to 30 people's names on them. And you basically, when somebody come up, they give you a number. So you'd have to go, okay, your number 13,000. Okay. So you're sitting there, and it's like, okay, oh, they're not in this list. Oh, Jimmy. Oh, he gave me another stack of papers. So here I'm trying to go between 2 stacks of papers. And half the time, Jimmy would say, just give my card.
Nice.
How many members are there?
I'm not going to tell you the exact number, but there's thousands.
I know mine's like 13,330 something. So
Right.
It's up there. Michael, how many decos have you done in your career total?
I think even after I retired, I still do decos for various groups of people. So we're probably getting close to 6,000.
I know when I was doing the research, there was a goal that you wanted to get to when I was reading on the wiki. Do you remember what that number was?
Well, the goal that I had is I wanted to get 30 years at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But at 27 years, they offered me an early retirement package.
Oh,
And they said, no, I want to get to 30 years. So they said, okay. So then the next year, I got another offer for early retirement. And I figured, wait a minute, that's like 2 years in a row. They're asking me to retire. Maybe I better consider this. And so I said, so what do I get if I retire early? And they said, well, we got a good program. So I said, all right. I already hit 5,000. That's a good way to go out. And I was just shy of 30 years. So I was happy. But it took me about another maybe 6 months before I could apply as a vendor to work for Mattel. And so then I was, but I can only vend for MATCHBOX.
Oh, okay.
So since then, so like 2016, I started as a graphic designer vendor for MATCHBOX. And I do about 60 to 80 decos a year for that brand. Plus I do the MATCHBOX convention, logos, the convention models, all the banners that you see, a lot of the promotional stuff. So I built a really strong relationship when I moved to MATCHBOX to the host of the Albuquerque MATCHBOX event. Because when I moved to MATCHBOX, I thought I need to know the MATCHBOX collector. I know the Hot Wheels collectors. I know what they like, what they don't like. But I was unfamiliar with the MATCHBOX collectors. So I looked online and I found this event in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And my wife and I, we always loved going to New Mexico. So I said, we're going to New Mexico on Mattel's dime. And I'm going to go meet the host of this event. And so I decided in order to get to know the collectors, the MATCHBOX collectors, I created a questionnaire, about 20 questions. What do you like? What don't you like? What do you collect? What do you wish MATCHBOX was doing? And so every collector I met at that event, they sat down glad to answer these questions. So I compiled all that information. I went back to Mattel after the event and I did a presentation to the director, the marketing director, and said, this is what the MATCHBOX collectors like and want. And essentially it was realism. They want real cars.
Mm-hmm.
And so the my boss, the director, said, because he was a MATCHBOX collector, and he said, that's exactly what we want. So we changed course. So in 2005 is when the new direction for MATCHBOX was charted, mostly focusing on realism. And by 2006, MATCHBOX was the fastest growing brand of Mattel. And it's considered the golden age of MATCHBOX because it was a big change from the funny, goofy cars to the real cars.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you listen to collectors, what they want, that's your direction. Give them what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Better wheels.
So it should have been 5,888.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Peter, do you have a casting that you like more than others?
It's like asking which one's your favorite kid.
Mm-hmm.
I started off, I was really drawn to exotic cars So the wild Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Porsches and Jaguar XJ 220s and all. I was a kid growing up. That was like, if I ever get really successful, I can go buy one of those or get one of those. Still trying to grow up and trying to figure out how I'm going to get to one of those, but maybe one day. So in the meantime, I just collected a bunch of Hot Wheels cars around the same theme. I do like the Bywayman. It's my favorite truck. And I think I'm missing one Bywayman. I've been chasing it for over 20 years. I can't find it. It's the Super Scraper with white hubs that has toolboxes. So I had one without toolboxes. I've been looking for one with toolboxes for, I think, 2003 is when maybe 2004 when I first learned about the toolbox, no toolbox variations, and started chasing it. I got all the real riders. I got a few of the black walls with and without toolboxes, but that real rider was the first one. Another casting that I really like that Hot Wheels did make a bunch of was the Smoothster. That's for some reason that one was one of the first really premium cars that they came out with, and that when I got that wood cottage set was, that's like, God, this is a beautiful car, and they did a really, really great job with it. So, like I said, Bywayman, Smoothster, pretty much any Ferrari, I'll go for. But but being the newsletter guy, you have to get everything. So they're all my children, and some, yes, I like better than others, but they're still all my children. Still love them all.
There you go. There you go. Michael, now besides your diecast career, how did you wind down for fun when you were done drawing or working on a car?
Music.
Music.
Music is always, those are my two passions, music and art.
Nice.
So if I'm not doing one, I'm doing the other.
What were you playing today earlier when it was on the live?
That was, I composed my own music. So since I've been playing piano, more like the last 2.5 years, because I recently got a baby grand, and I hadn't played piano for 8 years before I got that, so I missed the piano. And so I write my own compositions. I don't read music, so I'm a self-taught musician. I have right now probably about 10 original compositions on the piano. I have a bunch on guitar. But when I came here, I think Fred was telling me, hey, there's a piano down over there by registrations. And I said, oh, I'm going to have to go check it out. So this morning, I didn't think anybody was around. I saw them in the registration. I said, I'll go there, see if I can play it. It's a little bit out of tune on the high end, but I was able to get my morning fix. I mean, that's usually my routine. Every morning, I make coffee for my wife and I. I have my first cup of coffee, playing solitaire. And then I'll go into the living room and play piano for about 20, 30 minutes. And then I'll go play guitar for another 20, 30 minutes. And then I'm ready to start my day. If it's graphic design. But every morning, that's my routine. And it's a great way to ground myself and just enjoy life. What I see outside the windows.
Love it. Peter, Peter, you worked with Jimmy and you talked about Jimmy a little bit. What was it like to work with him on a day-to-day basis at convention or any other time?
Jimmy had a very dry sense of humor. He would throw zingers at you, and he would say something, and then like 2 minutes later, he's like, "Oh, that was hilarious! I missed it." But he from that standpoint, he was a great character and very passionate about obviously Hot Wheels and his Italian heritage or his heritage with his Italian restaurant. He always talked about his father, his uncle, and how they came to be, and how the fact that I think it was his father and his uncle were basically in World War II. They were chefs, and they were supposed to get deployed overseas, and they didn't get deployed because the general liked their cooking, and so he would always go off on the tangents about that and how different recipes were made and stuff like that. So he had a real passion for his restaurant. From a Hot Wheels perspective, I don't know how many times. I think I probably gave up after trying to trick him 20 or 30 times on stuff that I thought that nobody knew. He'd ask him an oddball off the wall question, and he'd say, "Oh yeah, I have that one." And no, did you know there's another wheel variation with that one as well? I was like, "Okay, So try and trick him. You can't trick the guy. He knows way too much. He's been doing it, and it was his passion. He loved, there's certain castles which he obviously, loved more than others. The Dairy Delivery and the Camaro, a couple of them. But his whole knowledge and breadth and depth of his knowledge it seemed limitless as far as what Mattel has done. And I can understand why Mike Strauss picked him to take over the newsletter, because he really did have a vast knowledge of the hobby and why people were collecting and what they're interested in doing. And they needed a good ambassador, and I couldn't think of anybody better than Jim to be that ambassador at that time. So he was goofy enough. He was serious about some things, goofy about other things. But like I said, he had a true passion for cars, and things that collectors were always interested in was the variations. And he had a good network of people who were telling him and helping him find the variations and telling him about them. But they have to be able to keep that in his head and be able to ask him about something that off the wall. People keep on telling me things, and I'll come up like, oh, I forgot about that variation. They told me last week. I was like, oh, I've already forgotten about it. So, unless I document it and put it someplace, that's the way it is. So, but Jimmy was a great guy.
Awesome. Just to segue on that, like I was just looking at this one here with all the Miatas on it, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen this one. And I collect Miatas, so I feel kind of like there's always different variations that are out there that most people don't even realize are out there.
Yeah, the other one was the green with the screaming wheels on it that has the 3 different tampos at the bottom, if they're in the middle or full length.
I seen the front rear bumper, the sides, and then there's the side and the rear, and I'm like,
now
I can look at mine.
Now that article was written by Carl Pomponio, and the Miata is his favorite casting.
Oh,
so that's why he helped put that one together. He's like, "Well, would mind doing it?" I was like, "If you write it, I'll publish it." And then as long as we get the pictures of the cars, that's the other thing. When we post an article like that, I want to have pictures of all the cars. Because sometimes we'll get cars that I've got this one with Tim's book. Well, you're the only person that has it, unless somebody unless you can give me another dozen people that have it. I'm just going to call it an error or a custom. So I try to make sure that anything that gets put in the newsletter, I want to try and make sure it's been properly vetted, and not just somebody's whim that they found hanging on the pegs, which I don't know how long you guys been doing it, but about once upon a time people would go out, take a car out of the package, they'd switch the wheels out, put it back in the package, and go hang it back on the pegs. And trying to pass it off as a real variation. Like, oh, look, I found this. And it's like, upon further inspection, it's like, no, that's definitely somebody that does, because that's the only one that exists. So
That's not good. Michael, what was it like to play at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Oh, that was incredible. For those of you that don't know, he's referring to the Toys Band at Mattel. And that was a collection of people who worked at Mattel who were musicians. And one year I saw them perform at one of the employee events. And I went up to Ned Ward after and I said, "Hey, Ned, I play guitar." And he goes, "Are you any good?" I go, "Well, a self-taught musician, I can take solos." He goes, "All right, why don't you try out?" So I tried out. I ended up staying in the Toys Bands for 3 years. But each of those 3 years that I was there, we entered the Fortune 500 Corporate Battle of the Bands competition.
Oh, nice.
And there was a 3-tier that you had to get through to get to the finals. So the first one we went to was a local venue, and there was about 5 bands, different companies, locally. It all showed up, and we all performed, and we got through the first stage, and then we had to do the second stage, and we got through that, so we got to go to the finals. And that was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum. And so we all got to travel. We had a great time. We performed, and the first year we placed second.
Nice.
Which was, got us all hyped up. We're on the right track. So then another year, the next year, we went through the whole process again, made it to the finals. And this time we came in third. We figured, well, we're still trying to get that first place. So then the third year, again, we went through all the process, got to the finals, and we didn't place at all. But the bands that first, second, and third, they were awesome. They were really good. So you can see the judges pick the right bands. And then after that, I realized, the toys were always doing cover tunes, never originals. And for me, I like to compose my own music. And I was hoping that at least we'll take a cover tune and then take ownership, redo it, rearrange it, put our own spin on it. But that wasn't the goal of the toys. They just like to do the cover tunes and do them like the record. So 3 years was enough for me. But at least I got to play electric guitar, play loud. That's always fun. If you have an amp and a guitar, you want to be heard.
This is true.
Yeah, so it was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good experience.
All right. Peter, how's the newsletter evolved over the years?
I have no idea.
Short answer.
That's probably an accurate answer considering Jimmy's filing system.
So it depends how far back you want to go. Because I when I took over Jimmy, I got all the old newsletters he had, which were basically, he had some from the very first newsletters that Russ Looker and Mike Strauss, started doing. Looking at those is like, I don't know how they managed to do it. They actually did 6 newsletters a year for the first 2 years. And you can tell they basically, somebody would write an article, Russ would do, you pick one of, 68, 69, 70, you pick one of the red line years, that would be the focus of that magazine. You come out with the different castings. But people would also do stuff about the Mexican cars or the Canadian cars, or, what was the inspiration for this particular, they always pick out one car and say, okay, this is the inspiration for, the custom Corvette, or, the Tri-Baby, or so they always focus on one car. But it's like, so that kind of same formula we've tried to keep going throughout the entire history but now it's a lot more focused on, what's new. And the reason we do that is people want to have this history, or they would say what's coming out, even though, yes, it's a newsletter, it's probably 3 to 4 months out of date by the time you get it, but people still want to have that little checklist. And the first ones that they came off with was literally, they had a photocopier and they just photocopied them, and there's no color involved in it. It's black and white. Basically you get smudges on it. Sometimes it was hard to read, but at the time there was no internet, there was no email. People didn't get information. You had to call people up and you had to mail things, physically put your article into the newsletter, send it off to Mike Strauss in California, and everybody would do that. And I guess he would put together, either you just said, yep, that's the way it is, and it'd have some guy do some artwork, make some sketches on them, which were, pretty amazing. They'd have 2 or 3 guys just make sketches of the cars and they go in there. It's pretty nice. Probably in the mid 90s, they started adding color to the front and back. So the front cover and the back cover would be colored pictures, and you can see, get some information from that. The content was still pretty much the same. Kind of what's new, what's going to be expected. They'd focus on 1 or 2 special cards each issue. Convention information was always in there. Started, seemed to be more of the focus. There were only 4 issues throughout the year, and then they would mail you basically a 2-page update. Here's what's the latest thing that's going on. And that same formula was probably used up until when Jim took over, and I think Jim pretty much kept that same formula probably up until mid 2015, 2016, when it went to all color. So all the pages were in color. Once again, the content's pretty much the same. Been pretty much the same from the newsletter perspective. Now, the guy who does all the layout, people tell me, give me credit. I can't take partly any credit for actually the layout of the newsletter. That's all Brad. Brad is amazing. He does that. He loves it. It's one of the things he's passionate about doing. So he does a great job of doing the layout. The biggest things that I've changed is I've been trying to make it, bring it into the 20th century. I don't think we've quite gotten the 21st century with it yet. Because like I said, it was all hand done, all manual. When I took over from Jim, the list of people I got for newsletter members was in 3 separate spreadsheets, and they're all up to date, which means none of them are updated. They're updated. So some people's names will be up to date. And then so you're trying to go through there. It took me about a month and a half to figure out, okay, had to go through each spreadsheet and figure out who was up to date and are you up to date.
And that, I know that was the case with me. In fact, I ended up reaching out to you to kind of like, I say this date, and then you come back and said it wasn't even a date further out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that did change that I changed probably within 6 months is, and most people, probably, if they knew it, they didn't know it, or they just ignored it. When you signed up when you paid Jimmy the money or begin with, it was for 6 issues, so it was a 1.5 year subscription. So people would every year pay us for a renewal for a 1.5 year subscription. Well, we just kept on adding that to the end. So I have, I think, 6 people who are paid up through at least 2032.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Yay them.
yeah. And I keep on telling them, don't send me any money. So they don't keep it. It's like, okay, I'm going to cut your subscription back. They said, that's fine. So some people have actually cut their back to, it's like, so that's good. So that was one of the changes that I made, because it wasn't because I'm trying to get involved. It was, this is when everything, inflation went haywire and nuts, and the cost of everything went up. But I did it basically to simplify it. Everybody thinks it's a year subscription, so we'll just do your subscription. So that's what it is now. So hopefully it's less confusing. All the database for all the users is now in the cloud. So there's no more spreadsheets that get passed around. You don't have to worry about, okay, where's the latest information? Latest information is in my newsletter database that's up on the cloud. That also ties into the newsletter website, which there's been some changes there. If you ever use the old one, it's been changed quite a bit. I've had to turn that one off, unfortunately, because there's a bunch of people on Instagram and Facebook that were taking the pictures out of the newsletter, creating collages with them, and posting them up as their own, and not giving the newsletter any credit for the photos. And I reached out to them numerous times, and people just said they gave me the middle finger. So, and Facebook, if you go into Facebook or Instagram and you say, okay, this picture, and this picture are all my pictures, and I didn't give them permission, they'll take them down, but the next day they turn around and they put them back up. So I'm now spending, I stopped doing that. I did it for like a week, and I was like, I have better things to do than try and, chase all these people down. Just say that people are using my pictures illegally. I just don't have time. One of these days, maybe I'll get the time. But I'm sure that's kind of what they're counting on as well, is the fact that, I'm too busy doing, trying to be positive and trying to create stuff instead of go after these people. But,
I think that's a hard subject just in general with digital media.
Yeah.
Regardless of what we're talking,
Yeah.
whether it's news, art, music, it's just something that's hard to police and maintain.
Yeah.
So,
So the last thing I'll add to that, as far as what's happening, what's new with the newsletter, I have taken it and I am building. There is a huge database back behind, and it's not just for the people. I now have cars in there as well. I've got over 25,000 variations up on the newsletter car catalog right now. Newsletter members can go and access it and use it. It also allows you to actually track and manage your collection. That's one of the things that I have not found another website, and believe me, I've looked, that allows you to really truly manage and follow your collection online.
I've used it a little bit, and I like the fact that you can either have it carded, you can have it loose.
Yep.
You can keep your serial numbers in there. You can make little notes about, I got this from so and so.
Yep.
I like all of that because it gives you a sense of history, and you're like, well, where did I get this car? How did I get this car?
Yep.
And I love that portion of it. It's something that no other, like you said, no other inventory system has.
Yeah. A lot of them are one size fits all, whereas ours is geared towards Hot Wheels. Yeah. It can be done for other brands as well. As my collection of 30,000+ cars is 99% Hot Wheels, so that's what shows up. If somebody else wants to do it for M2, Jada, whatever, Matchbox, if they're willing to put the time and effort in, I'd love to have them get access to it.
Nice. Okay, so Michael, what has been your favorite project to work on?
Oh, that's a good question. I used to get that question a lot at conventions. They say, what's your favorite car? And I would tell them, after 5,000 decorations, I could probably give you 100 And so that sparked the idea of maybe I need to put out that information. What are my favorite 100 cars? So I decided I was going to select 100 Matchbox cars that are my favorite and 100 Hot Wheels cars. And I started looking through all my archive photos, and I found all of them that I had photographed. And so I decided I'm going to make some puzzles. So I made a puzzle for Matchbox, 100 of my favorite cars, and puzzles, 100 of the Hot Wheels cars. And I had about 30 puzzles each made. And I took them to a Hot Wheels convention. I sold them all. But at least people, they didn't ask me that question anymore. What's your favorite car? Well, I can list 100. Yeah,
Like the weird off the wall stuff like that. It's always neat to have something different in your collection. Nobody else has.
yeah. But the problem is that I had photographs of them, and I decided, well, now I'm going to get some display cases, and I'm going to put my 100 favorite Hot Wheels. But I realized I sold some of them, so I don't have them anymore. And so there's empty blanks on these 2 acrylic display cases of the cars that I'm missing. And a couple of them I bought back from collectors. But one of the Mattel employee holiday cars that the model shop made is a 2-car set. And it had the white Camaro and the Altiza. And I had sold that for probably like $200. And so I saw it at a Hot Wheels convention, and I forget the Bill. I can't remember his name right now, but anyways, he had it in his room, and so I went there and I was looking at it, and I said, this is one of my designs. And he goes, yeah, I know. And I said, I'd like to buy it back. And he goes, it's I'm asking $1,800. Wow. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to spend $1,800 to buy it back. I said, you want to do a trade? I got some cars that are probably worth that. And he goes, what do you got? And I told him, he goes, no, I'm not interested in that. No, I'm not interested in that. So I still haven't got it. But there's still about 4 slots that I'm missing. But, that's what happens when you trade and you sell. You don't realize, I should have kept that.
That's why I don't sell anything.
Yeah.
So
But
do you want the Camaro or do you want the Altiza?
I want the set.
No, you want the set. Okay.
Yeah. But it brings me to something else I realized. When people ask me, what's your favorite car? My new answer is, it's the last one that I just did. Because it took all those other cars, designs, to get me to this one. And I spend more time on them, especially when I'm working with customizers, because they'll let me do anything I want. So I really get to massage it. I'll do an initial design and let it sit for a few days. And I come back and look at it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to change this. And let it sit again for a few days. And then finally, I get to the point where, yeah, this is it. And then I'll turn the artwork over to get it published. But like, this is one of my latest designs.
I was going to ask you about
some
that.
blatant self-promotion. I decided one of the things I always wanted to do was an Adler 58 race team. And so I designed these posters, a 3-poster set, and I sold them. And then I thought, well, Matchbox is not going to let me do an Adler 58 race team. Almost not going to let me do it. But I talked to the group in Malaysia because they asked me, it's time for you to do another series. What do you want to do? I did an Aztec series, 2 series. He goes, what do you want to do? And I said, I've always wanted to do this Adler 58 race team, and I'll send you images of the posters that I did. And he goes, go for it. Do it. And it goes, we got 2 cars. We got the Datsun 510 sedan, and we got the VW drag bus. You can use those 2 models. And so that's what this is. A really cool case too. Magnetic front, slides out. But so this is it. And you can see all the blatant self-promotion, Adler 58 all over it.
Get that in
And
there
I
for
even put some
everybody.
friends of mine there. I made some logos for them. My good friend Russ and Jim Gallegos, I made logos for them and stuck them on there.
That's awesome. Thank you for letting us take a look.
Yeah.
I'm like scary here and trying not to shake and drop it. Yeah, it's almost as bad when we had somebody else on there with a really expensive car. We're like, please don't drop this. Please don't drop it.
We've got to be careful of dealing with and stuff.
Oh yeah. Peter, how long does it take from start to finish to produce an issue? And I'm sure it's different between the updates and the full blown.
of course, because obviously one has 24 pages, the other one has 8. But so the updates are actually pretty simple. It's basically, since those are almost always just focused on adding what's new, so those don't take too long. Probably take me 3 to 4 weeks. And Brad has access to some of the things that I don't have access to at Mattel, so he's able to, sometimes when he knows this series is going to hit the next month, he'll go ahead and add it into an update, or actually into the newsletter. He knows it's going out really soon. Even if we don't have it, you'll see the blister cards in both the updates and the newsletter magazine. The magazine depends if it's a convention issue or not. If it's a convention issue, then I'm, have to herd cats and make sure go after everybody and make sure that they give me their articles. So some are much better than others. Barb is great. She always gives me her article really quick. And then there's some that I'm still waiting on articles from this past convention to give me their articles.
No.
So
nobody would ever do that.
So it takes me about 2 months, and then once Brad has it, it takes him about a week, depending on how much there is, but probably about a week to week and a half to do the layout, get all the stuff into the issue. Of course, then we have to do the proofreading and make any changes, make sure we got all the advertisers are in there that are supposed to be in there, and then go from there. And then once you press go to print, it takes, I think, 3 days to print it, and probably another 3 days to go through the process of getting an address and mailed out.
Nice. Michael, how fitting was it to end your career, Hot Wheels career, with Ford Fiesta, which, by the way, it's right there.
Right here. We have both of them.
Boom. Beginning and end.
I've always enjoyed putting little hidden gems and messages in my decals. I think I was the first one to start using alphanumeric codes, and collectors quickly caught on. Were able to figure out the hidden messages I was doing. But when I knew that I was going to leave, I thought I need to do something that has a little bit of humor and it was meaningful. So I figured, why not take the very first design I did and just transpose the styling over to a series, not only the Hot Wheels car, but also the Matchbox cars. And so it was, the goal was that, Hot Wheels collectors, they can be very brand only. I only buy Hot Wheels. I don't buy Matchbox. I don't buy this. Matchbox collectors, they buy the Matchbox, but sometimes they buy Hot Wheels. But I know that the Hot Wheels guys are real territorial. So I figured, wouldn't it be fun, in order for them to get the entire 5,000 series, they have to buy both brands. They have to go to both sides of the aisle. So that was my little joke on them. And so there's, I think, 3 Matchbox cars and there's 2 Hot Wheels cars. But the funny part is that, Hot Wheels always faces right, Matchbox always faces left. So I thought, so on the Matchbox cars, because they face left, on the passenger side, instead of saying Matchbox, it's going to say Michael. And then on the Hot Wheels cars, on the driver's side, which you can't see in the package, it's going to say Heralda in the Hot Wheels logo. And so that was my final joke. But when I got to legal in the Hot Wheels group, the guy in the legal department contacts me and says, Michael, you can't change the Hot Wheels logo. And I said, why? He goes, you look at all these collectors, they turn the Hot Wheels logo, they'll put their car company on them. And he goes, no, but you work for Mattel, you cannot touch the Hot Wheels logo. So I said, all right. But then the legal department on the Matchbox side, they said, that is awesome, go for it. And so you'll see on the A100, the Dodge A100, that if you look at the passenger side, it says Michael, it doesn't say Matchbox. But then I thought, I should have just did it to the Hot Wheels car. I mean, what are they going to do? I retire by the time it comes out.
They're not gonna fire you,
They're not going to fire me. And I I missed an opportunity.
Take away your birthday, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, you should. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's been approved. I don't care. Yeah.
Right? So is that kind of the inspiration for these?
Yeah, I figured if anybody can do it, I can, because I worked on both brands. And if they tell me cease and desist, well, they're already done. You know, humor is important to have, you know, in any hobby.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
gotta have fun with it.
Come on, these are toys, right?
Exactly.
For adults and kids.
Yeah.
That's
More,
awesome.
more kids than adults.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's more of adults.
Adult kids.
Yeah. We definitely do.
Peter, can members advertise on the newsletter?
Can people advertise? It depends on what they want to advertise. It depends on what it is.
Okay.
Um, so I know once upon a time people used to have a for sale, you know, it'd say, okay, I'm selling my collection, or I'm selling this, that, or the other. There's just too many requests to do that type of stuff. You know, sell one off or well. If somebody is willing to pay for the advertisement, you know, cost, then we'll have that discussion. But you know, usually just I try to limit it because it just takes up more time. You have to proofread it and make sure it's valid and everything's up there. And it takes a lot of more effort. I'm willing to entertain it, but you know, you're probably going to have to buy a traditional ad space for it, not just
Right.
not, you know, not giving away, which is what it used to be. You know, but then again, you did that when the internet didn't exist. There weren't other avenues to say I want to sell something. So,
Right.
and I don't want to be in the middle of, oh, somebody put this in your magazine, said they're going to sell it for $1,000. I called them up and they said, no, it's now $2,000. I'm not going to get in the middle of that argument.
Yeah.
Or I sent somebody $1,000 for the cards you get for sale. I never got them. I don't have the time or really the patience to try and get in the middle of that. So
Yeah. Okay. Michael, have you kept any of your designs over the years?
I did. I mean, as a designer, you always get the FEP samples review to make sure that everything is correct. The deco is correctly placed. You're not missing anything. The right wheels, the right body color, etc. And so they'd always give me like 3 samples to review. So you see the consistency. Everything is right. And so for every design that I did, I get these 3 samples and I put them in a box. No packaging, just the loose model. And so every year, you'd fill up underneath your cubicle these boxes of all the product that you had to review. And every year they would have a cleanup day at Mattel. They'd bring in dumpsters, and every department had a specific week where they had to clear out their cubicles. And so you either put that stuff in the dumpsters, or you put them on these big tables that they would put out in the department. And everybody from every department would come. Oh, that's cool. I want to take that. Oh, that's cool. And then they would put them in their cubicles. So eventually they have to clean out their cubes. But the other option was you could fill out a property pass and take it home. So I would put out stuff if I had duplicates and put it on the table for people to take, but I'd always like keep at least 1 sample for myself, get a property pass, take it home. So this went on for many years. And when I would get them home, they would be in these plastic bins, all loose models. Probably the bin itself weighed like 30, 40 pounds, die cast. So I would take them home, put them in my attic. All right, so all these years doing this. And then after I retired, I was home one day and I was watching something, and I think we felt a little earthquake, and lived in Southern California, so earthquakes are, you get used to that. And I happen to look up at the ceiling and I see all these cracks in the ceiling. I go, oh my God. I call my wife, have you noticed this? And she goes, what's up there? I said, all those cases of die cast are up there. I said, we have to get them out. We have to repair the ceiling. So I figured, okay, I'm going to rent a storage unit. So I took there was like 48 of these boxes of just pure die cast. So I took them, put them in storage. Long story short, 2 years go by and they're still in storage. And I'm paying like $160 a month for 2 years. I think, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. I don't get to see them, but I'm paying just to store them for what? So my grandson, I think he was like 16 at the time. And I says, look, I'm going to get everything out of storage. I'm going to bring it home. And I'd like for you to build an Excel sheet and then document every car that's in one of those plastic bins. And I'll pay you, like $15 an hour. And you can do it at your leisure, but we need to get through all these cases. So he did it. He completed it all. And so then I figured, well, They're still in boxes. I don't get to see it. They're not on display. So I contacted 3 collectors that I know that buy collections. And I said, if you're interested, I'm going to send you an Excel sheet and it lists everything that's in each box. There's no cherry picking. You have to buy the whole box. And, you know, it's just a straight standard price for each bin, regardless of what's in it.
Mhm.
That's why I lost a lot of the cars that I should have kept. But anyways, I sold all but 7 of those bins. And I figured, you know, well, I'm going to keep these anyways because these are really a lot of my favorites. And so I sold them all. But I photographed a lot of them when my grandson was documenting them. That's how I was able to put together the 100 of my favorites.
Nice.
But there was a few that got away. And so now I think I have maybe 3 bins at home that aren't on display in my studio. So, you know, I have a lot of product display, but I'm quickly running out of space in my studio because I also do canvas prints and posters, which I put on my wall. So now that's taking up space. I have so many, you know, original posters and artwork that I did. Now they're backing up. They're stacked, you know, in frames.
Oh, the eternal battle of space.
Yeah.
I think we all can
Relate.
knowledge on that.
So I'm still trying to get rid of stuff. If it's not on display and I can't see it, then there's no reason for me to have it. But yeah, at one time I had samples of everything that I did, but now it's like really my favorites that I keep.
Nice. All right. Last question for Peter here. What was your reaction to finding out that you're taking over for Jimmy?
Well, there was the reaction when we discussed it at the Nationals when he was, you know, still alive. I'm like, okay, this could be cool. I thought, yeah, all right, this is gonna be fun. You know, I'll have somebody, I'll be able to learn the ropes from it, and you know, obviously, I am. So I don't think we went into this, but I am a nerd and I'm a computer programmer at heart. And I've been programming for. I think I wrote my first program in 1981. Yeah, and I'm self-taught. You know, I've made a career out of programming. And so when I started developing the database that's now being used by the newsletter, you know, it's something I always enjoyed doing, and I knew that needed to happen. So I was like, okay, great, I can make some real changes. I can bring everything kind of into the future. When Angie called me at 6 a.m. on that Monday morning, I was hit by a great panic that came because I had no idea. Because you think, well, you know what the newsletter is? It's the magazine you get, or it's the convention cards, or you know, signing up for tickets, in the magazine. It's like, you know, being a consumer of it is one thing. Trying to create that content is an entire different story. And that at that point when I first started thinking, oh, I got to get the next newsletter out, or I got to start designing the next car, thinking about what the next casting is going to be. Then it got a little overwhelming, you know, and it was quite I guess, reality hit me in the face quite hard. And then plus, you know, Jim and I were really close at the time, so I, you know, lost, you know, not only a mentor but, you know, a good friend. So it was tough there the first, you know, few weeks. So you try to get through it as best you can, and you know, at the same time, I was also running my own software company, and I was, you know, having to deal with a few issues with that as well. So it was kind of, you know, that first, I'd say, month was extremely stressful. But
A lot to manage.
Yeah. Luckily, my kids were both of them. Well, one of them was out of college at the time. The other one had just started college, so I didn't have to deal with too much stress from them. But you know, but my daughter, she, you know, about a year later, wrecked her car. So that type of thing. You know, life goes on, and you know, there's always bumps in the road. But you know, I was excited because okay, I can make some changes. That Jimmy would, you know, no offense to Jimmy, he just didn't have the expertise or desire to make those changes happen. If you would have made them, and that's one reason he brought me on, because I was actually making some changes to the old website. I was trying to make things a little easier to use, and he was like very appreciative of those changes I made. I was like, well, I can make some more changes. Like, no, just keep them simple for right now. It's like, well, we can't do simple. We have to basically turn it upside down on its head and start over from scratch, which is essentially what I did from the database standpoint.
Gotcha.
And the newsletter, like I said, Brad, without Brad, I don't know. Well, there would be a newsletter, but it would be nowhere near what it is today. He actually called me up about a week after Jim passed away and said, I know we need to get the newsletter out. I've got enough content to put the next one together for me. Everyone let me do it. And I said, absolutely. Because I have no idea what it takes. So he orchestrated, he got it printed, he got it put together, I proofread it, and made some suggestions and sent off to the printer, and it's good to go. So, like I said, Brad, a huge amount of credit for helping it continue on. Brad and I have a very good relationship right now, so it's actually, we're a very good team, I think.
Awesome. Well, you want to ask the last question?
So we're just going to go for both of you. How do you display your guys' loose cars? Driver's side or passenger side?
And there is a wrong answer. It's his.
Well, in my Hot Wheels display case, they all face to the right. And in my Matchbox display case, they all face to the left.
Okay, so we tied up.
Yeah. That point, dude.
So, since 99% of my cars are Hot Wheels, the ones that are on the wall, probably 99% of them face to the right. Now there are some of my red lines. If you're familiar with the red lines, you know that the U.S. green tends to fade when exposed to too much light, and it turns to aqua.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually have flipped some of those cars so they're now facing the left to try and even them out.
Equal fading, right?
Yeah.
I just want everybody to know they do go both ways, and facing so that the driver's side door shows is the correct way.
Whoa.
Driver's side always shows on mine.
That's Matchbox.
Yeah.
That's the way mine shows.
He's wrong.
I want to ask you about all the JDMs that are left or hand drive now. Now you can't. That rule does not apply.
No.
Still applies.
No.
It's my collection.
Yeah.
Even
It's
those
mythical.
little plastic, those little plastic ones with the handles.
Mhm.
Even my Matchbox ones always face the correct direction, and the Hot Wheels too.
And all
It's
mine.
an anal thing, I guess.
All mine are driver's side out. So, and even the JDM would be passenger side out. So on those. But
Yeah.
and even goes for the Matchbox, the M2s, the green lights, anything I've got, they're all going the same direction.
Yeah, my
So
Matchbox.
some
is
of them
that
are right,
way.
some of them are wrong.
Yeah.
Works.
Now, I do have a couple of them that I do display that way because the tampos are since they now do tampos on both sides, and sometimes they're not the same. If one do the tampo on the driver's side, it will do it that way. Yeah.
By the way, everybody that comes on, you're all getting that question. So
Well, you're gonna be mad.
I already know your
Because we
answer.
all have the same opinion. You're wrong.
But how do you display ones that are still in boxes? Does it matter?
There's very few cars left at my house that are in the box.
Yeah, diecast
Well, then you
liberation.
don't have enough cars.
What's that?
You don't have enough cars in.
Yeah, I don't really. I only have like a sixth of what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only been told no twice about opening a car. One was,
The 427 Shelby Cobra
Yeah.
RLC.
yeah.
That's like $600 or $700 now. I told him no, he couldn't rip that one open. And then the parking plate Canadian 380 SEL.
Yeah, he told me no on that, and that's his car. Well, I think that's all that we've got for you guys today. Michael, Peter, thank you so much for being a part of this, and we have some gifts for you.
Oh, nice.
So for you
Look at that.
and for you.
Thank you.
We're gonna have to sign them.
Oh,
Yeah, we can
yeah.
do
Do you sign?
that. Yeah, no, but yeah, for him, I will. Yeah. Not even problem.
All right. I think there's some markers.
Yeah.
Oh, there's markers, and then also at the end we've got our Hollywood stars. If you guys would be willing to sign those as well.
The question is, where do we sign it?
You sign on me, and I'll sign on you because everything's opposite.
Weird. All right.
Whatever.
I'm just gonna do whatever you want.
You want black or silver?
Oops.
Probably silver.
Car.
There's more.
I think you're supposed to sign that.
Oh, yeah.
And then one do silver, one do black.
I'll do black. That's what you're asking.
They're awesome, awesome cars. Thank you to Chris Stangler for coming up with this design and working with us for. Right.
That was a good one. Here, you should try this one. It'll actually work.
Smells good.
Free smells as always.
That's your signature?
Whatever that is. I don't know what his scribble is.
That bad?
I can barely read it. I can't read it.
I'll re-sign that.
Yeah, the neat thing is on the roof of the car, his name is on the driver's side and mine's on the passenger side. There's Easter eggs in there too.
Oh, there you go. That's better.
I use my Crippy signature.
In case you didn't get a good look.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And more stickers.
More stickers. We like stickers. I've had this car since I bought it when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I've heard people tell me that same thing.
I try to collect as many of this car as possible, but this was like, I remember having this when it came out. Oh, this is so cool.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody show it their pocket car.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Here's mine. There you go.
What?
We would cheat.
There you go.
Ta-da!
Everybody out there, you got your pocket cars? Oh,
We're not at home. Yeah, the girls aren't there to eat them. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. We appreciate it. Great stickers.
oh yeah. My pleasure. Thank you.
And one for you. Traditional black. One for you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
We will continue on now with our other guests. And I think first up was Tami and Chris. We'll let Michael and Peter get out the way and let them rotate. Thank you again, guys.
There you go.
What's the date today?
13.
13. Ooh, yeah, it's a great
Friday
day.
the 13th.
Great. Uh-oh. That doesn't look good.
I don't even know what it was.
All right, welcome to hour number 2. Again, we're here at the Chris Stangler Custom Convention here down in Kansas City. We've got a great live audience who has been heckling us all day. We just had Michael Heralda and Pete Kistler on. We'd like to thank them for being great guests. But now we're going to bring on Chris and Tami.
Hello, everybody.
First of all, Tami, I just want to say thank you for the shirt.
You're welcome.
But yes, we got the
You're welcome.
Mine's over
Nice.
there. So it was a smidgen small. That's okay.
My bad.
You're good. Don't worry.
It's all right. Chris, Tami, what can you tell us about this year's convention?
It's our 5th convention, first year in Kansas City, new location, and trying to drum up an opportunity for the followers in this area to attend our show and not have to travel as far as others as usual, to kind of lighten the load for everybody to take turns. Good weather, good people. So far, the event's been really good.
Tami, what's the Divas? What are they doing?
Last night we had the Diva Gathering where we did a craft. We handed out a bunch of cars, did a raffle for a bunch of cars. We released the first, the first design I did. We should have brought it. And then we also did a cartoon that we released
For the Divas.
with the Divas. Yep. And we have a race. I don't know what date it is. I'm sorry. What is today? Friday. Okay. Today's Friday. So tomorrow night we have the Diva race. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. And that's free to join. Just bring a packaged car, plastic wheels, and you can race and win a plaque, right?
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Plastic card or something.
We might. Do. What other events are going on for your show here, Chris?
So being Friday afternoon, the first game opportunity we had was Texas Hold'em Poker. That is concluded just a little bit ago. Now we're going to all head over to the Friday night dinner buffet. We have about 164 people with a ticket for a free buffet that was offered by us as a thank you for participating in our convention.
Yep.
After that, we head over back to the game room for the War Games
Games?
event.
Yep.
Yep. And then after we get about 70 to 75 people currently signed up for that. And then after War Games, we do the downhill money race with the 55 gas ring.
Right.
Busy night.
Busy night. And still in-room trading.
In-room trading, of course.
10 o'clock.
Yeah, we got about 30 rooms listed on the bulletin board over there for in-room trading.
Decent amount.
Yeah.
Yep. Good selection from everybody.
Awesome. Look forward to that.
Yep.
Is there anything else special that's going on that you haven't shared with us that you want to share, or is there something you haven't mentioned yet?
It's on the schedule, so there is a sneak peek. So it is known that there is something coming. 9 a.m. tomorrow morning when we open the doors, there is a Larry Wood exclusive that is a collaboration between myself and Larry. It was his graphic design. I digitalized it so that we can get it decaled, and I did all the painting and decaling, assembly, packaging. We got a special package for it, which is, I believe it's the first time I've done this package situation. Super excited, very limited. Larry was unable to attend due to his schedule. He's got an event this weekend and next weekend in California. And I was able to send him the background cards and have him sign each individual background card. So a little extra authenticity there to have Larry individually personally autograph them.
Nice. Nice. All right. So and then dinner starts right away almost after we're done
Mhm.
from here.
Yep,
So
5 o'clock.
Yep. 5 o'clock.
quick.
Yep.
Just
Yeah.
walk right down.
Hurry up, I need to go eat.
51
All right.
minutes.
Yeah. No kidding. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to share, or?
Yeah, we
Yeah, we do.
can do.
What I'm worried about.
Where's your guys' podcast car?
One right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so off of that and your love of with the podcast of Blue, we thought we would give you guys a little personal gift for each of you individually. I'm sorry, they are both facing to the right in the package. I mean,
Didn't think that through.
I'm
did we?
so losing this one.
once they're in your possession, they are free to stay or be removed from the package.
Very nice.
But we got you a blue hydrochrome little ducky there.
That's cool.
Duck action. We always love ducks around here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
guys.
Of course.
And Tammy, thank you so much for the decorations
Absolutely.
and everything.
I think this is
Walking
really
the red
fun.
carpet. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. So we'll have that up here if anybody wants to come up and take a look at those. I know it's going to be quick here, but thank you so much. for
Yeah.
coming
Thank
on.
you
No,
guys. I'm
no.
excited you guys came and did this.
We
Yeah.
got
A lot of
like
fun.
huge list of names.
Yes.
Yes,
Get
get
them all
through
in
everybody.
here. Give them all the
Listen to all
time
their
in front of
great
the camera.
stories.
And, yep. Get some feedback.
Thank you guys.
Oh, we could have. Oh, we
Oh, we get a card.
Great for you
Yay.
too.
I know the guy that did this.
Yeah.
They look kind of familiar.
Thank
Thanks,
you guys.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Chris and Tami Stangler, everybody. We've got more people coming up here. Let's see. Oh, now we've got a trio of awesome people coming up.
Right.
Please welcome Miss Barb and Miss
Hello.
oh, God, Jim and Cheryl Ryder.
There you
Yes.
They're on
Yes.
they're on the schedule.
Yeah. They're on the schedule
They're on
that
the
I wrote.
schedule.
I'm Jim, and this is Cheryl.
Are we sure?
Just in case there was any
Cheryl.
confusion. Yeah, here, watch this. I'm going to be between these two lovely ladies.
Awesome.
Not a bad thing
We're
there.
a good team.
Very
All right.
grateful for this.
So,
Cindy could come with us. We could.
oh,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
No?
Cindy's like, no, I'm waiting for my moment.
He's like, I'll just do that.
Well, Jim and Cheryl and Barb all work with Chris here as part of his staff, as well as part of Collectors Events Unlimited staff.
We do.
And so we kind of came up with some questions for you guys here.
And Cheryl's going to answer all of them.
That's right. 'Cause
Jim
we
and
all-
I, we'll just correct it.
What
Convention
convention city has stood out the most to you guys? Whether it's some outrageous event, some crazy hotel thing, it could be anything. What made it stand out for you?
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm going to say it was before we were on the staff, but Pittsburgh, because that hotel was a disaster.
That's amazing. I said amazing.
You thought it was amazing?
Disaster.
Well,
It had
just
like
the design of the design of the hotel. It was like they built a hotel, then they built another wing on it, and then they built a wing off of that wing and a wing off of that wing. So
and you never waited in line at an elevator because there was like 72
Right.
of them.
right, there was no every wing had its own elevator, but getting from one place to another, from room to room, was very, very difficult. So that's one that stood out to me for a bad reason, but we still had fun, still got lots of great cars, but was not a fan of that particular hotel. So Barb,
So I've had good and bad experiences in a lot of places. My worst experience, and I love the city, so I don't want anybody from Atlanta to yell at me, but the first Atlanta convention, we were downtown, and we ended up, my husband was so alive at that point, we ended up coming in at midnight because of flight problems, and in the train or subway thing downtown, and they said that the hotel, oh, you just come right up and you can see the hotel and walk to it. Mind you, it's midnight. Jonathan was 4 years old or 5 years old, and we had luggage and we looked like we didn't know where we were. And my husband paid somebody $20 to walk us down alleys to get us to the hotel. So I was scared, to be quite honest, at that convention. But we made it, and Atlanta was great, and we had a good time there. But that had started the whole thing. So,
and I'll just mention the one that I liked the best was actually Dallas, and I will mention that because as was announced, Dallas is where the next national is going to be next year. And I love that city, the site, the history, and it was just a fantastic experience. So that was
And I just want to add, the hotel made chocolate cars for us. Do you remember that?
yeah.
that they put on
Yeah.
our
And
pillow.
that was
pillow.
Yeah,
and
so-
the chocolate was my favorite.
I don't really remember much of Dallas except for the end, at the midnight races, but that's a whole nother story.
And I wasn't there.
Yeah, you
Oh,
were
okay.
there.
And the
No.
lines down the hallways was kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah.
too.
One of my favorite ones was Chicago, to be quite frank. On the first Chicago, maybe it was in the fifth, no, it wasn't the first, it was the fifth one, I think. And it was like when I first felt the real camaraderie of the Nationals. I meant to have the Nationals won in the 2000, the Y2K era. But the camaraderie really stood out to me in Chicago that year. You really felt it. You could really feel the group or the community pulling together as one. It's really a neat thing. So, to me, it was Chicago.
Okay.
Cool.
They're all different. They're good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Live.
Yeah. Describe a typical day or routine at convention. And it might, obviously it's probably different for each one of you, but kind of what's the gist of it, the basics?
You don't sleep. That's the main gist. And on the staff,
Same for
you're up early, go too late.
I love that.
And that is the main schedule that I've experienced.
Whether you're working or trading or communicating or just spending time with each other, it's all one thing. It's,
Yeah.
and we're talking about here and there, right?
Yes.
We're talking here too. At this convention, we are like family and we do things, and it's a very tight, I think it's a tight community here.
Yes, I
You're not
think
doing
it is. The thing that I will take away from being on the staff is when I first went to the conventions, I would describe myself as a wallflower. I didn't interact with people very much. And I actually helped Chris before joining the National Collectors List Unlimited staff. And when I joined the staff with Chris, the ability to talk and interact with the folks that came, learn their castings, learn where they're from. I mean, I was coming out of my comfort zone, but it was really fantastic. And it made my enjoyment level go up tremendously. And then when we had an opportunity to join Mark and Jennifer, it even doubled it because there's so many people. And in both cases, I just think that the people that you work with on the staff, they have a love of Hot Wheels and a love of people, and I think that comes through. I know that's not exactly saying what happens every day, but just I would say the interaction, no matter what we're doing, whether you're in sales or registration or T-shirts or autographs, you're interacting with the people that are there, and it just the ability to learn who they are and what they like and those types of things.
Awesome.
How
So
do we
last-
get access to go in there?
It's closed now.
It's
4
closed
o'clock.
now. So when does it
9
open
o'clock
tomorrow? Do you have to buy a ticket or something? Or-
Yes, you'll be able to do that between 9 and 4 tomorrow.
Okay.
Live TV, folks. It's
It's
no
not-
big deal. No, you're good.
It's
You're
perfect.
good. This is what we're doing it for.
It's all good.
What advice? Last question. for
We
you
are
guys.
sitting here looking like we're in
Kind
charge.
of-
Yeah, I know.
I-
Don't ever trust us
That
to
would
be
be
in
a scary
charge.
thought.
We're due. That's fine.
All right. What advice would you guys give for a first-time attendee to either here or convention?
Can I answer that?
National.
Yeah, you go
LA?
first,
I'm gonna
Bart.
go first on this one. Do everything.
Yeah.
Do everything.
Read every instruction and listen.
Don't be afraid. Well, really, but don't be afraid to look and ask people questions. And don't be afraid to do anything. I mean, a lot of people are timid. Should I go to this? Should I go to this? Podcast, right? Should I go to this a training or whatever? Anything that's honestly anything that you can and you can afford, if it's a fee based, you should do anything and everything because you get more out of it. I think I've told you before. You and I could go to the convention side by side, and we get so much different.
Mhm.
We would get a completely different experience, even if we were side by side.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's going to take out of it something different. We're all at different levels, but it's really important to do everything. But yeah,
So I know it's probably not live or good live TV to agree, but I'm going to agree with Barb.
Yeah.
The
got
first-
that?
Well, first time for everything.
I know.
So the first time I went, I really didn't know what we were doing. And I got the schedule and I was like, well, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And it was just, you want to experience it all. You want to soak it all in. The room to room, the first time I experienced room to room was tremendously overwhelming because you just don't,
Yep.
your expectation, you just can't have the right expectations to go in and see the number of people and the things that they have from year after year after year. It's fantastic. The seminar, we get to go in and learn about different things. The autograph sessions with the Mattel designers, it's just that opportunity to get their autograph and spend a few minutes chatting with them. That was one of the things that I loved the first time I went. So yes, I agree with Barb. You need to try to do everything that you possibly can. Look at that schedule and participate in as many things as you can. I think you get so much more out of it.
The biggest problem I find that most people make is they don't look at the schedule. And they
Oh, yeah.
don't know when they miss out on things
Mhm.
because you maybe had to sign up for it yesterday to do it tomorrow,
Mhm.
and they don't see that, and it's upsetting that they miss out.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, the first couple of conventions, I was so focused, hyper focused actually, on the room to room part of it that I didn't even bother to read data. It's like, oh, I don't need to know any of that stuff.
Right.
I'm here to do this and this, like acting like as if I knew what I was doing. And now it's more of, let's look at the schedule. Oh, we got to be here to support this person or that person or their event. You know,
There's an inherent difference too between nationals and the regular convention in California. And there's a lot more sideball things that you were involved in, both of you, in nationals compared to. I'm being honest. Am I being honest?
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
you know, 100%.
Yeah.
You're involved in a lot more things at nationals than you are in LA.
Well, I've only been to LA once, but hopefully I'm going to get one or two on there sooner or later. But
But there is a different vibe.
Yes,
It's not
it
bad or good. It's just a different vibe. And it's what that a lot of your friends,
Mhm.
a lot of your new family or your friends, they
Yeah.
all go to nationals.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're East Coasters. Right?
Mhm.
Yep.
So I'm just. But here, it's more. Things are more intimate. It's a smaller group. It's
Mhm.
a smaller, it's a shorter amount of days.
Right.
Right. And still, there's still things to do in this. I mean,
There's still a lot of intensity, even though it's more compact and it's not as rigid or structured. Maybe is the right way to describe it, but there is like, okay, we're going from here to here to here,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of okay, let's
there's
go,
stuff
let's do
going
it.
on. There's
Yes.
stuff going on.
But there's a lot of personal attention
Yes.
where we help people and can walk them along
Mm-hmm.
because it's smaller.
yeah.
It's a
Exactly.
smaller number. I'm able to talk to more people here at this kind of convention than I am and that's not bad. I just have just more people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
2,000.
Compare-
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can remember.
2,000 people to 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can spend a little bit more time with the
Yeah.
200.
Our
Definitely.
conversations with you and I are let's walk down the table and as we're talking, okay,
Yeah.
pay and then move on.
Yeah.
I mean that's a good conversation
Yeah.
actually because we can get a lot talked about in
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank you all for coming on, and we do have something for you guys. So
Okay.
this is for Jim and Cheryl, for you
Oh,
guys.
Thank you very
And
much.
that's for you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Very nice.
So thank you so much for being on.
Nice.
Oh, and don't forget to grab your duck too. There's
Okay.
a blue duck
And we
down
have
there.
to sign a star. I
And
think
sign your stuff.
Pat, you're up
Me
next.
too.
What
Yeah.
is this one?
Pat and Frank. Where's Frank?
He squeezed the duck.
Frank?
Yeah, I don't know where he went to.
All right.
All right, well, thank you so
We
much.
can sign this thing.
I'll get in the videos ready.
No, you can stay there.
I can stay there?
Yeah, Frank. And I'll sit on the end.
I'll sit
Well,
over.
Barb's staying, so.
I'm going to be here all the time. I'll stand here.
Get your
You
own-
Frank,
get your own.
get Frank. It's perfect. No, it's because
It's just that we all get one.
yeah, I gotta get-
Come on.
we have a long story. We're the friends who became family.
Gotcha.
We're the friends who became family. That's a real true story.
Is everybody liking what we're doing so far? You know, digging it? It's different.
No, yeah. Are you going to introduce? We want to be introduced.
No, we
All
don't.
right,
No, we
coming
don't.
up to the stage is we got Frank and Kat. They're from the Northern Virginia area, correct?
Yes.
Frank, you get in here. I'm standing behind you. Just that way I can check out when she starts talking.
No, no.
So we are like babies.
Yes.
We are the friends.
Yes. Many, many years.
No.
souvenir to keep.
No.
All right, so we've got some different questions for you guys. Frank, what we're going to ask you is pretty straightforward. You're a big supporter of the charity auctions.
Yeah.
Both out at nationals and at LA. Why is that so important?
Just to help the children. A lot of needy children. I help with both Make-A-Wish Foundation and Children's Miracle Network, and I also make donations to UNICEF and the World Food Program.
Nice. Nice. Let's Pat, what means more to you, the people or the cars?
I'm not really a collector, so the people.
Okay.
And then I just sort of got into the cars because of Frank.
Nice.
I do collect certain castings, but mostly just for the, like a family reunion every 6 months.
There you
And then
go.
every Christmas show every year.
Okay, so this is for both of you. Well, actually, for all three of you. Which convention do you prefer, LA or the Nationals?
National.
At the
We can drive to.
Nationals.
What makes the difference between the two for you guys?
For me, it's the, I guess on the East Coast, we don't get as many shows. So when people show up for the shows, they stay at the hotel, they get involved. Whereas in LA nowadays, people are all local. They come get their convention cars and leave. And there's not so much activity, interaction going on. And the social aspect isn't as great as on the East Coast.
That's a true story.
It's more business than
Yeah.
than family. Yeah.
It's definitely a
Right.
different vibe.
Mhm.
Definitely a different vibe. But they're both good in their own right as
Yeah.
far as room to
Yeah.
room trading and
Oh, yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They both,
Well, no.
stand apart from.
Okay. I think that's all the questions that we've got for you guys.
Okay.
Thank
Who's
you
up
so much.
next?
Please
Thanks.
sign the star if you haven't already.
Okay.
And then we've got cars for Yep.
Oh,
There's one for you and one for you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for
good
coming.
to see you all again.
Thank you.
That was Frank and Patty. All right, now we've got Deidre.
Yay.
That
Don't let your husband out of it. My husband, he won't. Where am I going? Right here?
You're coming right here.
Oh, all the way over here?
Yeah, all the way over here.
All right.
Well, for those of you who don't know, Deidre was on a couple of weeks ago with the Diecast Divas. And she kind of went through a few traumatic experiences while she was on there.
You got
And,
more
we're
to
going to add on to that tonight. Is
Rip
this enough cringeworthy for you?
Rip
Is
it.
that a goal? Wait, let me look at it.
Yeah.
Well, let her look at it first.
I might not have this one.
Brand new.
Rip it anyway.
Brand new.
Go ahead, rip it.
Yeah, rip it.
Do it.
You
can
feels
do it.
so good. You got to hire her. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah.
She's an expert at this.
Yeah.
Check out the details on that car.
Yeah.
So pretty.
It is beautiful.
Okay, I opened one. That's your,
That's my one for the day.
yeah.
Are you have a schedule?
So
Am I on that schedule?
he's gonna rip
I just want to rip card.
Yeah.
All right.
On the way down.
What is your ultimate must-have car?
That's a hard question.
I know.
There's a lot of good ones, isn't there?
Anything that she gets to open to relieve stress.
No, I like opening stuff that's not mine. If it's mine, I don't open it. But the ultimate car is probably gonna have to be the T1 bus.
We didn't bring any of those.
I know, right?
I mean, the drag buses were pretty much scary enough as it was. All right. Let's see. If you had a casting that you'd like to see come back, which one would you like to see come back? That's been your time.
Kristen, do you know which cards are going to
Yeah.
No. Do you think I pay attention to all of that stuff? I just look for pretty cars.
Pretty cards.
No, well,
All right. Who's helped or mentored you the most in the hobby?
Probably my husband.
Yeah. What,
Yeah.
What's he done for you, or how's he helped?
He taught me what a lot of stuff is, but I'm just here to talk to all the ladies. That's it.
Nice. It does. What?
Oh, there's Tammy.
So, have you divas done anything really special to this convention yet so far?
Yes, we had a diva gathering last night, which had a great turnout. There was probably a little over 20 ladies there. We had lots of fun. We went outside and stole some food from the men that were outside cooking, and then came back in and enjoyed our festivities. We gave away a few cars, but that's not Chris Stangler because we were giving away too many, but we might have gave away a few.
Don't worry, that won't make the internet final show.
It won't.
Well, thank you so much.
You want a free car?
Oh, thank you.
Rip it, rip it.
No,
Yeah.
no. Why would I open this?
Because that's what he says to do.
Not this.
We don't always look in the can.
Oh,
No, most people don't listen to me.
We can open some things, not others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You did a great job, and you survived the car. You did a great job ripping that open.
I know.
Don't forget to sign your star.
Oh. Okay.
All right. Coming up next, we've got Cindy and Andrew. This could get interesting.
It can get very
Yeah,
interesting.
with the two of us.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. Miss Cindy, thank you so much for coming. Mr.
Well,
Andrew, as always, it's a pleasure to have you on. Andrew has actually had the pleasure of interviewing both of us.
And
Willingly.
you guys have interviewed me before too.
Yes.
So
Yes. All right, so the questions are going to be a little bit split up here. I reserved some of the convention questions for you, Cindy.
oh, okay.
Okay. I don't know if you were around helping the convention when Mike was there, but if so, what was Mike's impact on the convention?
His biggest impact was probably following rules. He was a stickler on you had to wear your badge, you had to be registered, and that really did help structure the whole convention. People kind of made fun of it and didn't like it, but I think that was a really big impact that he brought to the show.
Nice, nice. Andrew, you like custom cars?
yes and no. I don't like customizing cars, but some of these customizers that do it do some amazing work.
Nice.
So-
nice. Okay. Again, Cindy, how has Mark and Jennifer changed the convention?
They've made it much more personable, much more family oriented. They're very acknowledging of the staff's work and what we do. So it's nice to be able to hear them say thank you. We appreciate what you do.
Awesome.
So that is a big plus.
Andrew, are you a member of multiple clubs? And if you are, can you tell us what it's like to be in those clubs? Is there a major difference or?
Every club that I'm a part of has its, differences, of course. Like I'm vice president of the Mocan Hotwheels here in Kansas City, and we are a very family-oriented club. We have monthly meetings. We have buy-sell trade at these meetings, and a good following. We always, how many members do we have?
Probably 54 actual faithful members. We have a Facebook group of several hundred members.
And we always typically have at least half of our membership at each year, which is really good. I'm also part of the T-Town Wheelers Club in Tulsa. I mostly go to theirs because they run a toy show and everything. And that's always fun to go. They have monthly meetings as well, but it's 4 hours away. I can't make them for all the time. I'm also part of the Mid-States group. You guys don't have like an official membership from what I understand, but I always come up to your toy shows when I can. And you guys are extremely family oriented. Same with T-Town Village as well. And what you guys do and what T-Town Village does is they actually have big track setups, which I think is also fun. Capital City is also another group I'm a part of. They have monthly meetings. It's kind of a smaller group of guys, but they are a very fun group of guys. So and gals too, of course. The main thing about all of them is that they're just fun and exciting to go to, and you can see all the cool cars that all the members bring, and everyone does really cool customs. So yeah, it's a good time. I'm also part of the Iowa club too. And I mostly go to them for the toy show.
So maybe you should ask what clubs aren't you a member of?
But always with Sham Wow, there's more, right?
Oh, wait.
But there's a lot of groups I'm not. That list is long.
Well, thank you all so much for coming, and you guys have been great.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for doing it.
I'll get to see you in LA.
I know, this is nice. We get to visit with each other without having
Thank
to
you
be
guys.
stressed.
This was fun.
Nice.
Tell Steve hello.
I will.
All right. Coming up next, we've got Mike and Kim. Uh-oh, save. The VIPs are safe. And don't forget to sign your stars, too, and grab your duck. Come on down. And welcome to Mid-States Live. Well, we've got Kim and Mike today. Thank you all so much for coming. You guys are from T-Town, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. I have to say, Mike is the very first person I ever gave an autograph to. And I remember this because we were out in Charlotte, and he goes, "Oh, I remember you. I know you. We watch your show all the time. And will you sign this?" And he hands me just a piece of cardboard flat. And that's the first autograph that I ever gave. So I always remember that whenever I see you.
That's when I first started getting into customs.
Yeah, very nice. Okay. We know you like customs. What do you like about them?
I just like working on them. Experiment with different colors and different paints and coming up with different designs that somebody else hasn't come up with yet. I mean, some of them's hard to duplicate because I did one series, I think it was LA, that did that tie-dye series, and you can't repeat it. Once you do it, that's just that set. You can't redo it.
Nice.
And everybody keeps asking me, how come you don't do the tie-dyes no more? That was just a one-time thing, and I can't duplicate them.
They're the same.
Yeah, they're not the same.
Kim, how do you keep younger generations involved or interested? What would you do?
Well, we enjoy the downhill racing.
We have a
Just
lot
love
of kids.
it. They just love coming to T-Town Wheelers, shows every year or every couple. We have 5 shows a year.
Yeah, every other month.
Our next show is July 19th at Stony Creek Hotel in Broken Arrow.
Nice.
Might be there.
For July? No, we can't come to the
That'd
July.
be, yeah, because it's a Nebraska show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't get in trouble.
Yeah, we gotta do that. We gotta
Right.
Bar-
We'd
Oh,
love to have
I said it.
And you did it live.
I said it.
He called me Deb.
Yes. Like,
I called Deb Barb.
it's never gonna change.
It's never gonna change.
It's gonna be a continually
sorry.
thing for the next.
That's a joke. I call her Deb.
It's not a joke. It's just horrible with names sometimes.
I'll be quiet.
Okay.
But we will be either September or November. We'll be down
We
again for
definitely
sure.
go back.
Because we always enjoy coming down, hanging out there. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So relaxing. It's incredibly busy. So many people from so many different places.
Right.
Yeah.
I really
All
love
over.
it.
I mean, we have people from Mexico, Arkansas,
Louisiana.
Kansas, Missouri,
Nebraska,
Yeah,
Iowa, Nebraska. I mean,
Mexico,
all
Guatemala.
over. Yeah,
Yeah.
all over. It's
insane.
amazing how much
Definitely a
it's
good time.
grown. We're celebrating our 30th year.
This year. Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for coming on. And we have a car for you.
Who's on the front of them thing?
I don't know.
Who
It's
are
kind
them
of
two guys?
question. I don't know.
They are.
Another kind of question. Yeah. But thank
Thank
you
you.
again for coming on. Don't forget to sign your autograph on the star and grab a duck.
Okey-doke.
All right.
Thank
Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Mike.
Got through the skin.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna get like more multiples
I know. Now we got this crew from
somewhere.
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 Topeka.
That's the GPS.
Yes, the GPS says. Well, first of all, let's welcome
Oh yeah. Woo!
Brian, not
Sit
with
on
a
Brian.
Y,
Yeah. Sit on Brian.
and Rainey.
I'm sure.
and Jimmy and Kent,
Yeah.
but not Jimmy Kent. There's too many Kents up here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming. Now, is this the BJ Customs group?
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming. And where are you guys from again? What group are you in?
Capital City Diecast.
BJ Customs.
Nice. And you guys collect any other brands besides Hot Wheels?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What? No. Wow. No, not.
I'm not a brand snob. If it's a casting I like, I have them too. I have greenlight.
Yeah, I have a few.
I have Matchbox.
I don't specifically go. I find something.
If it's a casting I like.
Nice.
Maybe more hot.
Yeah.
99%.
90%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll buy something.
Are you guys loose guys or carded folks?
Both.
Loose.
I like to buy two. I'm guarded.
Nice.
That's I'm going to custom.
Awesome.
I have plenty of.
So when is the next Topeka show?
September 20th.
September 20th. And is that down in Topeka?
Yep, at the Event Center. It's a toy show. We've got 200 tables available. I'm not sure. We'd have to give it a buck today about how many tables are sold. I'm sure. Well, why would we forget you?
I know.
I mean,
Yeah, down for 6.
Yeah.
At least.
Right now, we could probably do 6. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
table B.
Day after this weekend.
Thank you guys for coming on for so much as we're getting through everybody here, and we've got some gifts for you. It's you represent you two. Yeah. And then one for Jimmy, and one for y'all. As well. Thank you all.
I have books from you, and this is Ryan specifically said this is you. So, but you can exchange if you like. These are
facing right or left?
these are
Worse,
custom
it's a
bindings.
Camaro.
His favorite cast.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
are
You guys are
customized. for
bad.
everything.
Well, thank you so much.
Made with love. It's heart and soul.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yep.
You're not live.
Thank you, Kent, very much. All right, moving on. We're going to bring Jamie and Buck again, more folks from Capital City. Jamie was on just less than, 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Jamie had a great time, had a great interview with us. Hanging out, bro. It's your duck, bro. Makes noise. That's all that matters. All right. Buck, what's it like running a club now versus not running a club?
You know, it's running a club is great. You know, when you get to interact with everybody, and you're just involved with everything that goes on. You know, it's really nice. You know, being in the know and not. I know I'm trying to go with this, but yeah, that's a good question. I wasn't ready for. But just running a club is just it's a lot of fun. I really like the getting out there, talking to people, helping set shows up, and just helping everybody learn more about diecast and bring everybody together.
Awesome. Awesome. Jamie, what would you change about the hobby if you could?
I'd say with the group of friends that we have here for the club, I would make it a lot more like this style and not so much the scalping, you know, just trying to make money on the hobby. Just more stuff like this, being involved, coming to these conventions, doing the coloring contests, games, just the fellowship, hanging out with people, the relationships, the people you meet. I just make it a lot more of that.
That's awesome. That's what I really appreciated about your interview, Jamie. You were very sincere and heartfelt, and very down to earth and open about all of it. And it was such a great interview.
I agree with that.
Yeah. We'd like to thank you guys for coming on. We have a couple of gifts for you. One for you, and one for you. Don't forget, you know. Thank you, God. Hey, we got tables, right?
Yes, of course, yeah. September 20th, Topeka, Kansas, Omaha Convention Center.
Sweet.
Yeah, we'll be there.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on. All right.
Appreciate it.
Yep, you're welcome. Thanks. It's quick. I know. You guys did awesome. All right. Now we got this trio.
This is a good looking. This is a good looking guys.
All right.
Musketeers, like.
Okay. All right. So who do we have here? Let's give ourselves some names.
Friends from mid states.
The good looking guys.
And me.
And you. All right. So what do you like about being part of it?
Getting to go to other functions with mid states and seeing how fun it is.
Awesome.
And for me, I'm probably one of the newest to the group, and it feels like a small family already.
Mm-hmm. It's hanging out and having a good time, playing with little toy cars. Yep. Yeah, we all got the same interests, and it's fun to be with us guys. Ain't that right? Fun to be with.
Yep.
Del, in your time with the club, and I'm just talking about being specific with the club here, because I know you've had some really other cool moments at convention. What has been the highlight for you?
Getting this cool shirt. That's the highlight of everything, I think. And then that's the only one of those that even exists. That's the one and only. And I like wearing it too. Looks good. Thank you.
Mike and Donnie, what would you guys like to see the club do in the future?
It'd be cool to have a picnic. I think it'd be fun to have a picnic, grill out.
Just an excuse to get together and have fun.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that. Right?
I think for me, I've been involved in several different hobbies and always try and get back to kids, like to some sort of youth organization. So, maybe a charity benefit, find a local youth organization and do a charity benefit. Don't know if you guys have done one before, but
we've donated a lot of cars to the Stroke Hospital and a couple other hospitals. So, yeah, we're definitely looking for more avenues to get into. Yeah, toy run. Yeah. And we thought that was the giveaway. Yeah. And there was we were giving away, collecting giveaway cards for the Bellevue Christmas Parade 1 year. So that was a really good time. Freezing that night, but it was cold. It was a fun time regardless.
Yeah.
The heaters were definitely on overdrive on the way home that night.
Jeff Saccarodi and his daughter Kaya helped out with Rick and the Grinch. That was a good night.
Yeah.
Cold, but a good night. Well, thank you guys for coming on. Don't forget to sign. And,
all right. We will.
Parts for you. All right. Awesome. There you go. There's one for you.
Thank you very much.
One for you. And
Thank
one for
you.
you.
That's going on the wall.
All right. Perfect. And we've got our last two guests for the day, I believe. Jason and Michael, please come on down. Welcome. Welcome. Well, first of all,
that was fun.
As I'm being
Sign.
Michael, I don't think I've ever met you.
No, I don't believe I have met you. That's real soon.
Well, first of all, it's nice to meet you.
It's very good to meet you.
Jason, yeah, we've seen you a few times.
I see you a few times.
Yeah.
Up in Des Moines.
Where, Mike, where are you from? All right, there we go.
There you're back.
There we are. Now we're back.
You are anyway.
I know. All right, welcome back, everybody. We had a quick little hiccup there, but we're back. All right, Michael, you said you go to the T-Town shows, the Oklahoma City shows, and
Nationals. Yes, and then also Chris's show.
and Chris's as
Yeah.
well. Awesome
Yes.
stuff. And you're a big Mopar fan, so I already
Yes,
like you
yes.
as it is. I am a 71 Demon fan.
Okay.
And any GTX as well.
I collect the 2018 Demon.
Awesome. Jason, what's it like in the Des Moines and Mason City clubs for you?
I like it a lot. It's two very different clubs. The atmosphere at Des Moines, I've never been to a convention or a national show, but I would like to say that the Des Moines show is geared more toward that, where it's sales, it's really big. And then if you go to the Mason City show, it's small. It's in Jeff Hansen's own building. He has all of his collection displayed. He has old jewelry cases, and everything is just full of everything, not just diecast. He's got automotive parts and then posters, because when he was a kid, his dad was a car salesman. So he has everything. And it's just nice going up to that one because it's really small. It's family oriented. There's always dinner served. He has downhill racing. That one's awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing things to look at all over the walls.
Yeah.
Yep. They really are.
I can spend time just wandering around looking at the walls.
The first time I went to his show, that's all I did was wander around and like my jaw hanging. And
Yeah.
I had him go around with me and talk to me about different stuff and point out his error cards.
Yeah. I'm a big
He's
error
a
guy.
big error guy, and he has cards that are printed backwards, cut upside down, everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I was definitely enjoying all the errors. I was walking around.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yep.
So yeah, they definitely understand the errors.
He does.
The one thing that I liked the most about Mason City was the racing and how the kids. Jeff does such a great job of getting those kids pumped up and ready to go.
Very much.
He's
Kids
so
really enjoy that.
enthusiastic about it. It was
Yep.
awesome.
Yep. They love doing that.
All right, and what's your name, sir?
Aaron.
Aaron, where are you from?
I'm with Michael Aaron. I'm Oklahoma City.
There he is.
There we go.
Sure we get everybody on here.
Okay, Aaron, and
Yeah.
what do you like to collect?
I collect Corvettes, wreckers, and Lesney Matchbox.
Nice. That's old school.
Yeah.
Nice.
And now, is this your first time to Chris's show?
No, this is my third one to Chris's. I went to his first one in Meesverboro, or however you say that name.
Mhm.
And then we went to last year in, what was that, Cincinnati?
Florence, Kentucky.
Yeah, Florence, yeah, Kentucky. And then this year, we pretty much go to nationals every year, or try to. LA, I've been to LA a few times. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything bad here, so
Not getting into that.
not going to get into that. But I run the Oklahoma City Club that Mike was talking about.
Oh, okay. Okay. Perfect. All right. You guys have your rooms open at all tonight?
Yep. We're in room 518.
Oh, down the hall. Nice.
I'm in 6:30. Mine's open
Nice.
when I'm not working with Chris.
There we go. Well, thank you all so much for coming on. We do have gifts for you all. You did great.
Awesome. Thank you.
And one for you.
I likewise have a gift that I'm going to give you guys. It's one of the coupe clips that I bought, or that I had done. If I can get it close up there on camera.
There you go.
I had one of Chris make me some decals for the top, and then I had them powder coated. So hopefully, as a keychain, they'll stand up a little better than the
Mattel
Mattel paint job does, because it wears right off.
Oh,
So,
mine's all beat up.
These are supposed to hold up pretty well, so I got a couple of those for you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And these are available in my room also.
Yeah, I heard
I've got
you
some more.
working on that. So please go visit Jason for those.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. Don't forget to sign.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, you bet. You're welcome. Well, everyone, that concludes everything else for tonight. Thank you so much for being on. And as always, nothing but peace, love, and applesauce. We will be up in Fremont tomorrow to say hi to some few other folks, not to mention Mr. Lee Allen and Angela, and then Mike and Tina Zarno, and all of our Mid-States friends that are up there working on that show. So thank you so much for being a part of us. Please give us a like, a subscribe, and a comment or two. You know, just right there it is. YouTube Mid-States Collectors Club 2525. There you go. All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.